Hello and welcome back to my channel. In this video I'm going to discuss my recent use of Kentmere 400 film for my 35mm cameras and help you determine whether it's worth your time and money giving this cheaper film a go. The short answer to that question, I think, is no. You should save up your pennies and purchase the superior Ilford HP5 film instead. So anyway, why did I buy this film in the first place? I bought a few rolls because it was a cheap way of buying some film which I could use, like I said in some previous videos, to help build some confidence of using the lab box to develop my film in the daylight at home. And for that reason it worked, it did its job. So in this video I went out with Kentmere 400 loaded into my Olympus OM2N film camera, and I shot some local street photography, some local kind of just general architectural type photography around, just using the film up so I could develop it in the lab box using Kodak's HC110 developer, which is a developer I've kind of been quite impressed with. And whilst I was happy with the compositions that I managed to find, I wasn't really that impressed with the actual look of the film. It certainly, from my relatively limited experience, it seemed to lack the contrast and just the kind of the punch that I've achieved from other films, such as Ilford's HP5+. So before completely ruling out this film for future use, I thought it prudent to go out and give it another go, and also I've got another roll of Kentmere 400 from my initial bulk purchase of film, so I thought I'd load it up into the Konica TCX this time, and like I did last time, go out in the local vicinity. There's a market on at the moment, so I should be able to get some good street photography again and just see what kind of results I can get this time. So I'll be right back. Right, I'm back. This outing this time was cut short actually for a number of reasons. The first one being I didn't realise at the time when I loaded the film that it only had 24 exposures. So when I got to 24 and I was trying to wind it on, I was wondering why it wasn't winding any further until I saw in the window that it actually only had 24. So that stopped me shooting film. And further to that, because I thought it had 36, I've been using the camera in other locations such as Portland when I went and shot this video, and as a result there's not that many images from this particular outing, but hopefully there'll be enough that I can compare the results from the last video. And the second reason why the outing was cut short, the security at the market fair didn't think I had the right to take photos of people in a public place. So I don't know whether any of you out there have had any similar experiences with security, but it was a little bit unpleasant and it made me just curtail my photography that day and come on home. Anyway, the rows are complete, so let's get them developed. So as before, I developed the film in the same developer, so Kodak's HC110, so that way I can fairly accurately compare the results between the two cameras of using Kentmere 400 film. So the film's developed correctly, and what you're seeing now is some quick B-roll of my new setup for digitizing film. In effect, I switched from using a normal tripod to a copy stand, so this way I can oversee the digitization a little bit better and a bit easier on a table, whereas before I was kind of struggling on the floor. And secondly, I bought a pixl-latr, which is kind of the thing which holds the negatives flat and over the light source, and this was a big improvement over my past solution of using a scanner kind of negative holder, and this one holds it a lot more securely. And I've also made a few modifications by creating a kind of a mask out of cardboard around the pixl-latr, which basically limits the light bleed from the light source, so I don't get so many reflections or any kind of light anomalies across the negatives. It also helps obviously to do this in a dark room or with the curtains drawn, just to further reduce those shadows and reflections across the film, so you get a nice clean image when you take the shot. And to make it much easier as well, I've also taped in effect the diffuser of the pixl-latr to this mask, so all I need to do is just lift up the front, move the negatives along, and then secure the pixl-latr back down, and this way my workflow and my process is a lot quicker, and I'm getting some really good consistent results from this. So I digitized all the images, I inverted them in Photoshop, again using a tool that I've been using for quite a while now, and here are the results. I hope you like them. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the compositions, but again, I'm not that impressed with the actual look of the film that Kentmere 400 seems to produce. The images just seem to lack a little bit of kind of contrast. The tonality is not that great across the image, and it doesn't seem to have that kind of impact that I've gotten from other black and white films. What I think is more evident this time is the quality of the grain. I'm all for good grain in film because it helps give it that look, but this grain, as opposed to other kind of films that I've worked with, seem to be a lot harsher, and it's a bit more kind of ugly, not that pleasing, and it seems to have a detriment to the image, certainly in the film that I took with it at Portland, as these images show. So in conclusion, I'm certainly not going to buy any more Kentmere 400 film. I think you're much better off buying other makes of films such as Ilford's HP5 Plus, which isn't really that much more expensive than Kentmere's 400 in my opinion. And if you're going to go to the trouble of shooting film, then you might as well just spend a little bit more money and get some better film. So I'd be interested to hear whether any of you out there have used Kentmere 400 and whether your results chime with mine, or whether you actually prefer the look to other films. So like I said, I've got one roll of Kentmere 400 left, so I can possibly try something different to improve its look. Anyway, thanks for watching, see you next time.